Hello, YouTube. This is Irked Particle, aka Pateralius 9, and this is a video about the Koenig knives Xenon. I did an unboxing on this. I'm going to integrate that later, but I wanted to just start the video and let you know what we're going to talk about. So, in this video, I wanted to talk about some things that I have not seen elsewhere on YouTube in terms of like looking closely at the mechanism. I'd like to disassemble it on camera since I haven't seen anybody do that yet. We'll talk about things like, where the blade is past the detent and things like that. So I'll also kind of check to see what size skiffs it should take if you're interested in putting skiffs on it. So we'll figure all that out in the video here. So I'll edit in the unboxing next. And I just wanted to let you know kind of that'll be the format. So we'll do the unboxing and then I'll switch back to the red towel tabletop after that. All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. I am getting over an illness, so bear with me, but I decided to just do a hand cam unboxing of the Koenig Xenon. Can't remember last time I did an actual on-camera unboxing, so I actually have not opened this box yet, which, by the way, my other Koenig box has like white lettering. This has like this black, which is nice. Still has the magnetic clasp. This is the first time I'm actually seeing this. M390 Xenon burnished. Yep. What is PF? Oh, polish flats. 604V tie smooth. Oh, it's real close to my birthday, actually. Yeah, super close to my birthday. That's pretty cool. Anyway, all right, here we go. I'm trying to look in camera and on person here. Ooh, it's so light. It is so lightweight. Oh my god. Wow. I think I may have to anodize the backspacer and the hardware. It looks really good like this, though. I was worried about this spot right here because it looked a little bit abrupt. Because, like, see how the chamfer here for the choil, but right here is a little bit, I mean, it is chamfer, just not as much. And then the clip, and then there's that kind of like X or whatever. That's, I haven't seen a real good shot of this yet. Yeah. Anyway, it's kind of neat. So how about we open the ding ding thing? All right, let's see. There's the thumb stud, which if I can zoom in again, actually I'm going to zoom. I know I said I was going to flip it. Here, I'm going to zoom in one more time because you got to see the studs. Let's get the X's on the spine, and then we will talk about the lock. Sorry, I don't mean to make you sick here. Okay, so that should grip pretty well, I would think. So, all right, here we go. Anyway, let's actually flip the thing. Oh, you got to go down a little bit. Okay, so you got to kind of dig in. At least that's my initial impression. I saw some of the earlier versions. Nobody has talked about this that I've seen. But the prototype versions, I think it was, the first production, the lock bar, you had this, but then it extended. There was a cutout here with jimping. So you could push to close it from here or from here. Wow. Oh my gosh. This is lower than you'd think. Like I keep finding I want to go higher, but you got to kind of go a little lower on it. Oh, that feels nice. Oh yeah. Once you get the hang of it. Can I reverse flick it? Nope. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's easy. Oh my gosh, it really drops. I got to get used to that. Wow, when I talk about controlled drop shut, yeah, I'll get used to this. Oh, acoustics, I'm still not quite there yet. Yeah, it's getting better. I wonder, it feels like my thumb is actually hitting the blade, so I think I'm probably putting a little smudge on there, because when I open it, I'm having to like really get in there. And then with the reverse flick, it's kind of the same. You got to kind of really get in. I mean, not that that's bad. It's just different. Gosh, that's nice. Oh, okay. I had to edit there, so I forgot to get the Arius out ahead of time. Let me go like as directly overhead as I can. Here's the Xenon. I've only seen a couple of videos on this. I'm sorry it's hand cam, guys. I'm only like the third full video, I think, on YouTube, and I'm doing hand cam for it. I should have just got the tripod out. That is what it is. Anyway, for the Xenon, I'm going to try to get a straight down look at this. overall length is, man, pretty much right on 7.5, or maybe like 7.45 or whatever. The blade length appears to be pretty much exactly 3.5, with the cutting edge of like pretty much right on 3 1/8, which I've seen in the other videos I've seen people talk about. You have, oh, this actually does have, I didn't realize that. So this has the like stonewashed titanium, but it does have these 2 milled spots where it's beveled. That's pretty cool. I initially thought it had proprietary hardware. It does not have proprietary hardware. Just so you know, I have not seen anybody do a hardware check on this. Let's do a hardware check. I think it's probably T8. Let's take a look. Yeah, it's T8. All right, cool. So that's a T8, and then the whatever the screw on the front, I believe, will probably also be a T8. Please be careful. Yeah, it's also T8. All right, so we are back from the unboxing, and so here's the Arius again, just as a size comparison, and we'll do some others as well. So if we get these kind of right up against each other, you can see amazingly, and other people have pointed this out as well, that you get about the same amount of usable blade length. I think the Arius might have it beat. Maybe? Yeah, just maybe a tiny bit, but yeah, pretty much the same length. Much smaller form factor on the Xenon. So, okay, I'm going to put the Arius aside for now. We'll do some other size comparisons here. All right, so a lot of people compare it to Sebenza. So let's look at a large and more comparably a small. Maybe I should have grabbed a drop point. Yeah, hold on, let me get a drop point here. But yeah, so all right, there's a small Sebenza, much closer in size. So it is fair bit longer, a lot more blade length actually. It appears, at least a decent amount. More blade length, of course. The large is a lot bigger. So large is about 8.4 inches without the lanyard. Small is about 6.85 or something like that without the lanyard. And then this is, I think we said right about 7.5. Okay, so let's look. A couple other size comparisons. A couple other like more high-end kind of knives. This is the Brown Cortex XL. This is the Grimsmo Rask. Fairly smaller, especially like in the handle, area, but look at all that blade. Compares pretty close to the Cortex XL. Rask has more blade length. Not a ton more though. Look how much bigger this handle is. Width-wise, Rask is fairly slim, so is the Cortex XL. No thicker than any other knives, not like inordinately thick or anything. All right. Let's look at, one that I thought was really interesting is the Oaks Osprey. I've done a mod on this one. I added a thumb stud to this. I basically bored out a hole and added a thumb stud. This had a DLC coating done by way of knife from a previous owner. So I've not seen another DLC version of this. But yeah, the thumb stud works great. The clip's a little tappy because I had to loosen enough so it didn't tear up my pants. Anyway, so enough of that. I thought this was actually a very good size comparison. The Osprey, that's Riot made, and kind of form factor a little bit and size. So if you've handled or have an Oaksworks Osprey, it's pretty much bang on the same size and kind of, feel really. I think the Xenon might be a little bit thicker overall. It makes it look like it's a lot thicker than it is because of this. That makes it look like it's real fat, but it's really not. It's just contoured. I guess, is it contoured? Is it technically contoured? It is. Yeah, it's a subtle contour, but mostly straight lines everywhere. I think they're subtle contours. Maybe I'm out of my mind. But anyway, all right. And then a few more here. We'll do a couple of Benchmades. Here's the 940, which surprisingly is a pretty good size comparison. And then here's the bug out, also a pretty good size comparison. Just a tiny bit shorter in the handle than the bug out. So comparable, though, really, to both of those. And I think here's the Mini Freak there. And the bug out goes back in my pocket. And let's see. So that's the Mini Freak. Okay, a few more. All right, we'll do the pair 3. And everybody, I love the pair 3. We'll do the Native 5. Just trying to get knives that I have that I know a lot of people have. Native 5, again, pretty comparable. It's a little bit longer. Pair 3, it's almost bang on the pair 3. God, look how much more blade, though, here. Anyway, so yeah, there's that. All right, last one. Obligatory Delica. Obligatory Delica. It's pretty good. Another good comparison. The Delica, lengthwise. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So next thing I want to talk about, something that I had a question about, but I didn't see anybody addressing. I think I might have to back up a little bit. Oh, I just zoomed the wrong way. You can see my tripod legs. Anyway, so yeah, I want to take a closer look right here. Like I mentioned on the prototypes, it was kind of cut out here with this like little jimping, so you could push the lock bar from here or from here. But I thought, why did they get rid of that? Why did they get rid of it? Because it's cool. Well, I think I know why. Because from here, it kind of lands right at that curve spot right there on the choil. If you were to push it from down here, we'll simulate it. If you were to push the lock bar from here, look what happens. It's pretty close. It's going to either dig into your thumb, or it might actually, if you're doing it, if you're one of the people who do it like this, it's going to actually cut your thumb. So I think I see why they moved it up higher. And then, of course, the thumb studs and that X pattern is awesome. The X pattern on this side is really nice. I see anodization in its future. I love monochrome. I have many monochrome knives. Like here's a good example, and I have several others like this. So this one, I think I want some color. I think I'm going to go 27 volt blue. This is a pretty cool detail. See, that's actually milled down the center. And here, I think I saw someone else show that. Let's go look at the clip. I did try the clip. The tension's really good. Clips tend to tear up my pants, but check out the clip. Yeah, that's a good shape and size. I like it. It's not too tight. A lot of these milled clips are too tight for me. And then for the lock bar, so I read on their site, I know Daniel, D7Cs, mentioned this too. This lock bar is not a bent piece of, I think, steel, or it might be titanium. It's not a bent piece. It's a machined at an angle piece. It was machined that way from the beginning. I don't know. I guess maybe that gives it more structural integrity or something, or maybe it's just cool. I don't know. But it feels great. And it's got like it's, I guess, no more resistance than any other inset liner lock or anything. But because you have so much to grab onto there, you get good leverage on it. Then it just pops. All right, so next thing I want to talk about is, well, for one, since the unboxing, I've probably only opened it like, I don't know, 50 times. And it's already, geez, yeah, it's really good. See, and now if you notice there, I still will have some trouble. I'll slip off the stud sometimes. So I notice with these studs, you have to commit. You got to commit. You got to really get your finger down between the scale and the stud and shoot it out. And it's great. And the reverse flick is kind of the same way. Like if you're going to reverse flick it, you got to really get your finger wedged in there. You got to get it in there, and then you can open it. And it really opens with authority, especially for how small it is compared to like the large areas. But I wish I had a mini area, so I don't. Anyway, spine of the blade here. We'll deploy it. Spine of the blade. It's not crowned or anything. It's just got that flat on top with a really nice wedge going all the way down both sides. Almost all the way down both sides. right? Of course, it's a drop point. Kind of reminded me of a Sabenza a little bit, the slightly different belly. Um, one of the things that almost made me think, maybe I don't want to try this, is because I thought it might be uncomfortable. It does have good chamfers and everything everywhere, but I thought especially this part here, I thought that would be pretty uncomfortable. Because if you look, it's abrupt, but in your hand, even back here, gosh, that's good. That's just really, really good. It reminds me of the Umnumzon a little bit, because the Umnumzon has all these like little swooshes and like curves and stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think would do anything, but like that, and you hold it in your hand, you're like, oh my god, how is something this like kind of square, boxy, so comfortable? And this has that same kind of feeling. I feel like I can really grip this hard and not bother me. Even the clip doesn't bother me. Where's the clip land? Yeah, clip lands. I mean, it doesn't have like a special, how like on some clips they'll have like the swoop that lands right on your finger and locks in nicely. This doesn't even have that, and it doesn't need it. Anyway, okay, so the next thing I wanted to talk about that I hadn't seen anybody mention, that action is ridiculous. I hadn't seen anybody mention is when does it get past the detent? So when you hit say you hit the lock bar even kind of low-ish, that's about where it falls. And the detent is right there. That's where, can you see in the video? I can't tell where the camera is. That's where it catches. That's where it double clutches. But look at how far down it comes when you hit this. So you're never going to double clutch this because of just the nature of the design of the lock bar access. It's essentially, I think it's impossible. You'd have to, how could you do it? I guess if you go like up here, maybe? No, even then. So I just don't see a way of accessing the lock bar that could have you double clutch. And anyway, so, and that leads me to the action, which it's not like in Arius, and I haven't handled many Arius, but I assume that they're like the large size. I assume they do drop. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But this, you got the flipper, you got the reverse flick. It just falls shut instantly, as we all know. Everybody who owns Arius, it's one of the most unique feeling actions out there. And this is completely different. This is more like, let me think of a good example. It's like everybody talks about that controlled drop shut. This has that, but this is going to get smoother. This is the previous owner apparently just did light carry and cutting. I don't know how much it was fidgeted with. Maybe, see, I missed again. Even maybe with the assembly, we'll get a better idea of like how much the bearing races are worn in. But okay, so before we get to more details, I guess, on the action. I mean, clearly the action is very, very good. It just feels like great bearings should feel. It doesn't feel like it needs skips or anything. But I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, so, man, that's nice. So anyway, before I move on, I wanted to mention, I've only come up with like two, I guess you call them nitpicks. Yeah, I'll call them nitpicks. I don't see any major issues so far with this. The one thing would be, this thing is begging for a flipper. If you look, if you extend that out a little bit more right there, and because of the location, you'd be flipping it from here. So it would flip great, I think, at that angle. And a lot of knives that have the flipper above where the pivot is, you get really, really good leverage on it. So that would be amazing if it had a flipper. But the only issue is, if you did put the flipper on, then it would stick out here. It'd stick out right there. It'd stick out right there. And then if you go to try to hit this lock bar the way they did it, you might hit the flipper tab instead, get caught on that, and then not actually hit the lock bar. So I see why. So that doesn't really bug me too much for that reason, just because the design. And then the other thing would just be, like an actual, like, that's just I would prefer. This is the only actual, like, I guess you could call it an issue, but it's not serious enough to be like an issue. It's something to be aware of, is the thumb studs. And as I mentioned, you see me fail it a couple times when trying to open. It's one of those knives, and I'm glad I waited to finish the video until after the unboxing and after I had some time to play with it, because I'm here just a couple hours later. But I wasn't sure that I liked it immediately, if I'm being honest. I was not positive that I was really digging it. The thumb stud, the first probably 3 times that I attempted to open it, I slipped off. This is one of those ones, again, Daniel from these 7Cs mentioned this. This really is a thumb stud that wants to be pushed up. Not completely, not straight up. I'll use this again. So not a detent that wants to go like straight up like this. It wants to go out a little bit. It follows this contour right here almost. If you push like that and the direction of the flat of that, push like this, that's where it kind of shines. So if you dig in a little and let that ramp grab you, if you let that ramp, here, let me try to get closer. Let that little, or not ramp, stair step jumping or whatever it is. Let that grab you and it'll do the job. And then the reverse flick, I find is pretty much exactly the same. I fail the reverse flick less than I do the thumb flick. That might be in part because I'm just used to reverse flicking. I do that with every knife that I can possibly do it on. So I've, experience. I noticed it's also comfortable. A lot of people do the thing where they like flick their fingers out when they do a reverse flick. They just flick all their fingers. This feels good doing it that way. Or if you do what I do, which I've kind of gone away from this over time, I need to start doing again. So I'll throw my knives. I haven't done it yet, but I might. But yeah, so if you kind of hook around the pocket clip, and then either thumb flick or in this case, finger on the pocket clip, it kind of, on this knife, if you put your ring finger and pinky finger on the pocket clip, look at where you're, like say I put my thumb on the pivot or near the pivot, look, it ends up in the perfect spot. I guess that's by design, but yeah, I mean, if you wrap around the clip there, I mean, your middle finger's already there. So it feels really intuitive. Just the only change I would make is that I would make the thumb studs stick out further. I'd make them taller, ever so slightly taller. I mean, I'm not talking about a big change. I would make them probably 10 thou higher on both sides. I mean, just real minimal. You only need a little bit more. And look, I mean, you're not in danger of getting so thick that it's going to like be thicker than the knife or anything. You're fine. I did want to mention before we move on as well here. Okay, so next thing will be the centering. Look at this. I mean, I've had knives that were centered. Oh, gotta get it straight. I've had knives that are centered. This knife is centered. Here, let me go over here. That is a centered knife. That's about as good as it gets, from what I've seen. I'm trying to get this like as straight to the camera as I can. Anyway, so yeah, it's freaking phenomenal. Anyway, I really do want to see what that looks like under there. You can see inside. There are 2 screws. You might not be able to see it. Down inside. Yeah, dead ahead. You can kind of see the heads right there. Straight ahead from the flashlight. Right in the very middle. So anyway, that's 2 screws. I suspect those are holding that in, which also holds the entire lock bar assembly in. So I would assume that this is resting on that assembly for the lock bar. That's one of the things I'm really interested in seeing, is what does that lock bar look like being machined? and not bent. Doesn't matter, you know. So anyway, so I guess really so far after having it just for a couple hours, that would really the major thing I would have would be the thumb studs. I think could be ever so slightly taller, but it's a nitpick. I think the thumb studs are difficult enough to open that some people it'll be a big turnoff for them, especially at the price. Not complaining about the price. I got this for a really good price, by the way. These do retail for $10.25 for this version. I think they go up from there. So they retail for $10.25. I got this on the secondary market with just a couple of little bitty scuffs on the clip, which is common and expected if it's carried and used. Yeah, so I paid a good bit less for it than that. But if it was like a $300 knife or something, I think a lot of people would overlook it. But because it is like a small batch kind of machine custom, I think it's going to turn a lot of people off. If you buy this knife, the only thing I would say is do not make a snap judgment on it. Give it a half hour, of playing with it and getting a feel. Most of the people watching this probably already do that kind of stuff. You probably already give it a chance. Like I know for me, the Unum Xenon is one of my absolute favorite knives of all time. And I actually really I didn't even feel indifferent about it. I actually disliked that knife when I first got it. And I came really close to just selling it the day I got it. And that never happened because I fell in love. But anyway, so yeah, so the Xenon here, it's pretty cool, man. They did a great job with this. I'd say don't sleep on it. If you're interested, if you're even remotely interested, or if you are a big Koenig fan, if you love the Arius and mini Arius, that's so funny. If this didn't have Koenig on the blade, which by the way, it is M390, I'm sure if you're watching this, you probably know that. If this didn't have Koenig printed on the blade, I might have been able to tell you that this was a Koenig just because of, I guess, not so much the design language, because the design language, people use that term. It's not like super obvious, I don't think. But I don't know, you kind of get you get like the same like crazy good quality machine vibe. So I almost would want to say, based on feel alone, even if I couldn't see it, just by the way it feels and the way the action feels. I failed the reverse look. See, so every now and then it'll get you until I think I just need to get more used to it. I think, and you can't pussyfoot around the thumb stud. You gotta flick it like you mean it, and it will come out every time. If you don't really get your finger in between the scale and the stud, see, like there I fail. If you don't commit, you're not really going to get it, and it does leave a little bit of marky marks. We got a funky bunch up here. Yeah, so it will do that. Not really that big a deal. Anyway, this video is all over the place. Sorry, guys. The finish on the blade, I do want to talk about that. It's like this. It looks like a blast. It looks like a blasted finish. And it's got the PF on the card there, PF polished flats up here. I love how exact this is and how flat and how nice that feels. And this, and by the way, this really is all over the place because how far are we in? And I'm only just now talking about ergos. So anyways, this has great ergos. I think I mentioned it earlier, but the finger choil doesn't really look all that big and impressive, but it is perfect. I'm a big guy. I'm 6'4", 265 pounds. My fingers are 3.5 inches from here to here. I got 3.5 inch. So, and I should mention this. So I've heard other reviewers talk about this, where if you hold it in the kind of choked back position, that they're hanging off it a little bit. I am kind of not even trying to sneak up on the choil. Like I'm firmly behind the choil. I can get all 4 fingers. It just feels a little less because this tapers. So you don't feel like you have as much on your pinky, but it is there for me. And I have big hands. So if, and I wear extra large size gloves, and they're like a fairly tight fit, a little bit of room, but yeah. So Yes, if you have medium or small hands, like this will be perfect. And then if you move forward, it's a completely different story. Like it's comfortable back here. It actually feels pretty good back here. The clip, I think you feel a little bit more back here. But if you move up here, I can feel the clip, but it's not a hot spot. There's a difference. You guys you probably know what I mean. You can feel the clip, it's there, but it doesn't bother me. It's not a hot spot. The jimping up here, the X jimping, it could probably be a little deeper, but I mean, that's a nitpick. It does provide meaningful traction. It does. It works. It's just not as helpful. I mean, the Arius doesn't have it. People don't complain about that. Arius didn't have it at all. I always like that having these types of thumb studs because it allows you to put your thumb up there and really kind of lean left or right, and it makes me feel like my thumb is more secure and it won't come off the blade. And anyway, this has a factory edge. The factory edge is fantastic. It was pretty dull when I opened it, at least by my standards. So I did run it on the Sharp Maker ceramic. I think I did like 5 very, very light swipes on either side. And now it's at least sliced in newspaper. But I'll probably do a full sharpen on this. You may, from my few other videos that I have made, you might know I don't mind sharpening stuff. It doesn't bother me. Here, like for example, the Arius, the amazing deal Arius, like once in a lifetime deal Arius, in my opinion. I sharpened that. It looks nice. So I'll probably give that the same treatment. Oh my gosh, I just picked up the Arius and I went like this. I went like this. All right, so that's another thing to be aware of, I guess. If you play with the Xenon a lot, you might find yourself reaching up here on your other knives. That's really funny. And it's funny because it's actually similar to, we looked at the Cortex XL earlier, and it's not dissimilar from that in that it's real high up. So if you have a Cortex XL, it's very similar in that you have to go higher up. The Cortex has more, real estate to grab than this. A lot more real estate, like probably more than double. But this sticks out far enough that it's a non-issue. It's one of the easiest to access locks of its type that I have ever experienced. It's pretty cool. I'd like to see more of that in the future. All right. Well, what do you say we take this thing apart? Okay, I've not disassembled this yet. The plan is I'm pretty sure I want to anodize it. Pretty sure I want to anodize it. So yeah. Okay. Well, let's see what we got. I'll try to keep this on camera as much as I can, but I need to see. Actually, here, you know what? Let's start with the body screw. It's interesting. The tooled side is on the front here and on the back here. So I have to see how that kind of interacts. And by the way, anybody who's like a beginner out there or something, if you're worried about scratching your surface, and I'm still guilty of this, even though I do this, but something I like to do is give myself an indexing point and see, I can use my finger to line up the bit and boom, I got it right there. Push, give it some pressure. Yeah, that was in there pretty good. Okay. Nice screws, man. All right, so anyway, yep, here we go. Same thing, we go up to the pivot, push. I can feel the Loctite. I'm gonna put it down here in case I slip. Okay, and there's the pivot screw. Is that Loctite? I can't even see, I can use the camera. Yeah, I think I can see a little bit in there. And I do put my Loctite in the threads, not on the screw anymore. I used to do that, and it's true. You put it in the screw threads on the actual screw, and it gets smushed up under the head up top, and then you get all this dried Loctite under the head of the screw, and it sucks. Anyway, so anytime I take my knives apart, doesn't matter what kind of knife, I will generally open it fully, especially autos, out the side autos. And let's see here, I got to kind of my KPL. I am going to use KPL. I usually use Gunny Glide and Slick 'em All lately here, but we're going to use KPL on this. I haven't used it for a while. All right, what do we got? How easy is it going to come apart? Ooh, this side wants to move The lock side. Oh, there we go. Lock side. That's a testament to the tolerances on these. See, I think I got the scale too far apart up top. It puts too much torque, too much leverage on the bottom one. So you got to really, this is like it is with Chris Reeve knives. You got to really, I should get my pry bar. Not my pry bar, my pry tool, my plastic pry tool. I don't like to pry if I don't have to, though. Not to pry, but yeah, here. Hold on. Wow, this is like, it reminds me of like a Sharp by Design or, oh, there we go. I think I felt it. Yeah, there we go. You don't want to torque it too much, trying to get this stuff off of here. All right, there's a bearing. Okay, so let's take a look. Stop pin, you can tell stop pin's over here because the blade's flopping. All right, well here, first let's look at the blade. So you have, there's your stop detent. There's your, or not stop detent, this is your detent, your detent hole. And then you got your detent track, which appears to be just worn in. Here, let's grab le rag and do a le clean on this guy. And we will go in here and we turn to everything, turn. Okay. And anyway, there's your cleaned base of the blade. They did a good job on the plunge here to give you plenty of sharpening life. I mean, that's pretty dang good. That's like CRK, they kind of do it like that, where it kind of is still thin. It thins out, but it's just not completely thin, and then it goes to the blade there, so you get tons of life out of that if you really wanted to use this, which you totally could if you wanted. I wonder if I can get the studs off and try to anodize those. That would be sick. I have no idea how those are fixed. I would not imagine they screw on. They might be interference fit, but yeah, I'm not messing with that. Anyway, okay, let's see. And the pivot should be captive. Felt like it was. All right, let's wipe off the pivot. The pivot. Gosh, it even just feels nice in hand. It just feels nice. It's so smooth. I want to put it in my lips. I want to put it on my lips and turn it. Okay, you didn't hear that. Sorry. Anyway, this is pretty cool. Look at that. Somebody had to make that. Somebody had to like put a thing on here and they had to tap that. They had to like mill all this, and then just, it's crazy. It's so cool. Anyway, okay, here's the bearings, and this will be kind of a pivotal point. I mean, I guess you're just gonna have to watch the whole video to get some of this information. I mean, if you're interested in a Xenon and you saw the other videos on YouTube, I imagine, you'd be pretty relieved to see this. I've not seen anybody else do this. All right, so bearings. 6, 10. 10. Yeah, 10 balls. They are usually 16th. Are they 16th? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, obviously it's going to fit there. Anyway, so yes, they are 16-inch balls. I love this 16-inch balls. And, oh, here, put the wrong thing away. And then we have, it's probably either 3/16. Is it 3/16? Oh, it's exactly 3/16. Man, that is on the money. All right. So there you go, guys. It takes a 3/16 on skiffs, 3/16, like 12 ball, bearings. In fact, I probably have a package. I can show you. Here, these. It takes these bearings, 3/16-inch pivot, 16th-inch balls, and now they have the 12 count. It used to be 11. So anyway, there you go. That's the size bearings that it will take. Outer diameter, real quick. Let me check that. All right, so 370, 0.370. Let's just check that, make sure. And then just to make sure the outer diameter, yeah, those are 0.37, and check it out. That's what these measure. So it's exactly right. Pretty cool. That's so hard to see these in this background. All right, you guys all hang out up here for a minute. Look how easy that was to disassemble. 2 screws. That's it. Just the 2 screws. All right, so next up is going to be, here, we'll look at the show size scale first. Here, we'll do a little bit of cleany clean. We'll do a little bit of clean, clean, clean. Am I on camera? Not even on camera. Sorry, guys. All right, we'll do a little bit of cleany clean here on that. All right, so, all right. Is that running on a washer or is it titanium? I could get a magnet and say, no, that is titanium. Yeah, okay, so there's no washer. Am I an insane person? I'm pretty sure, let me get a magnet. I'm pretty sure there's no washer. No, there's no washer. All right, so just be aware. Just be aware that this is running on raw titanium. It's, I mean, a non-issue for me personally. And by the way, the skeletonization, I love that they even did the X in here. How cool is that? Like they even went with like the Xenon theme in here. It's pretty great. Oh, I didn't mention I'm in the middle of disassembly and I didn't mention the weight. This, when assembled and everything, weighs 2.921 ounces. So basically 2.92 ounces by my scale. I forgot to mention that weight earlier. So anyway, yeah. All right. I'm probably going to have to fairly heavily edit this entire video. Wasn't anticipating that, but happens. All right. So here's the most interesting part of the handle, I would say. And we're going to clean this guy up too. Actually, the stop pin's looking not great as well. I don't know if somebody put something on that or if that's just gunk or what. I might have to move the camera closer. I keep like finding myself off camera. Sorry to do that. Yeah, I might have to edit that. And I think it's a little better. All right. Maybe even a little closer. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, that's way better. Okay. So anyway, here is the lock bar I was talking about. A little clean there. All right. Here's the lock bar. Wow, look at that screw. That's enormous. Is that a T8? It is. The lock bar insert screw is also a T8. I've never seen a T8 lock bar insert screw. I mean, maybe I'm sure they're out there. I just have never seen one. And then the stop pin, of course, that's a pretty good sized stop pin, right? It's not bad. And some people are finicky about their stop pins. So hold on. Here, stop pin 0.1. Yeah, 0.1 inch. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know much about stop pin thicknesses. It seems good to me. And then, of course, here's that back spacer, which looks so sick. Gosh, it's even pretty on the sides. You guys ever have like a Mokutai or like Damascus back spacer that is like hard to see any pattern on this side, but then when you take it apart, it's like beautiful on the side? Like I've had that happen. It's like, dude, that's a pretty side over here. Anyway, so here you go. Here is the machine, supposedly, I guess, and it looks like it's machined that way, I guess. Yeah, you can kind of tell it's like thicker than most inset liners. It looks thicker. And then here's the relief. There's the relief for the cutout. Some big old screws here. I'm sure they're all T8. It's got to be T8. Yeah, they are. All right, so everything on the knife is T8. That's pretty cool. Then you got these like hollow spacers, which is like, I guess it's almost like a semi-floating backspacer type thing. And then the lock bar, it just feels nice. It has, I guess it does have a different feel than most other liner locks. I'm trying to decide if that's an exaggeration or not. I don't think it's an exaggeration. I think if it was a regular liner lock, let me try that. Let's pretend it was a regular liner lock and I had to push it from here. Oh gosh, that would be hard to do. It wouldn't be hard to do, but it's harder than most other liner locks from there. Like you'd have to really kind of some line locks you got to kind of dig your thumb in. You'd have to really get in there. And I think that might be one reason that they got rid of that, GIMP section here. Because up here, it's further out. So you get better leverage on it. So it's easy peasy. Here, I gotta put some resistance. It's easy peasy. Yeah, it's easy. Gosh, that's really cool. Cool design. It's so slim. Anyway, so the main thing here was I want to see under that pocket clip. I want to know what's under that pocket clip. So let's check it, shall we? Should I anodize these screws? And I guess I usually do when I anodize stuff. I'll anodize the lock bar insert screw and stuff like this. Like I usually will anodize that just to keep in theme. In this case, I may or may not. We'll see. Now, how easy is that going to come out? The lock bar. I know some are not necessarily real easy to get out of there. They should be the same exact size. They appear. Hold on. Here, that thing's about to fall out. I can tell you right now, it's not going to be hard to get out. These look like those little, what do they call them? Oh my gosh, the 532 screws or whatever they are. I can't remember what they're called. I have a bunch of them. The Short by Design Apex has screws kind of like that for the inlay. Anyway, all right, so check it out. That is crazy because look, you can see it flopping around. So once you remove those screws, that's it. And I'm hoping that, the tolerances are good enough that when I put it back in there, it'll be exactly like to the micron in the exact spot. And I don't get like a lock stick or something. That doesn't happen on other nice knives, so I don't see why it would happen here. That is so cool. Okay, so there's the other side. What is that? Oh, that's the other side of the screw holes. So it goes through here, and then that goes through, and it screws into that, which means that might be getting ready to fall out of there. Let's see. Well, you're a smart man. You need to remove the pocket clip first before that'll happen. So speaking of, how do you remove the pocket clip? We'll look at that here in a minute. Let's look at the lock bar again. All right. Here's the lock bar. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's the over travel stop then. That's the over travel stop. Here's the detent ball. Look at that, how thin that piece is. And it comes right up to there. Yeah, just for the over travel stop. And then the lock face itself. Is that the lock face? I gotta get a magnifier again. Where does it actually? Okay, no, it does appear to lock up. Yeah, I can see where there's like a witness mark right there. So it looks like, and I'll have to check. Yeah. It locks up right here. It's got pretty early lockup too. Sucks. All right, hold on. All right, so I was trying to use magnification, but that didn't really work out very well. But yeah, you can see. Yeah, there you go. There's a witness mark right there. So that's your lockup, which is about, I'm going to say it's 15%-ish. Let me back up a little bit so I can focus. Yeah, I want to say that's around 15. Actually, might get 15%. I'll say that's what we'll call it. So yeah, definitely early lockup. Nothing wrong with that. Gosh, this is going to end up being long. Yeah, I mean, if you're interested, if you're here, if you're with me, you're with me. So let's do it. How do you remove that clip? Oh, it just slid. Okay, that was on there so snug. I thought there was a screw. I gotta be careful here. Hold on. Okay, backspacer. I'm going to need that anyway if I'm going to anodize it. So the backspacer, man, that is cool. Really, really nice. It's hard to see, but it has these almost like these smaller X's, like these like smaller milled lines detailed through. That's awesome. So yeah, there's that. There are 2 barrels. One is hollow, one is a solid pin. And oh, this is what I saw on the site. They talked about this. They talked about how there was this piece that, and then there's like a piece that sticks out of the pin to help it index. So like, how do I like safely get that off of there? I assume I just unscrew it. All right, well, here we go. Let's hope I don't break it. Let's hope I don't break it. Does it move if I do that? I don't really want to like force it. How do you get that off of there? Obviously, you can't just punch through because it has to be screwed down. You can't just push it. Or can you? Wait a minute, hold on. Maybe you can. Can you? Oh, yes, you can. Okay, I thought for sure I was going to have to like unscrew that. Oh, there's that piece. There's that piece that fell out. Whoa. Dude, that's incredible. We'll look at that in a minute. Look at the clip. That's crazy. That probably does screw on there, I imagine. I didn't really get a good grip on it to unscrew it. Yeah, I didn't move it. That's amazing. Look at that. Although, if you want to anodize this, here, is that titanium? I guess I'm about to find out. Clip obviously is titanium. Yeah, I think it's also titanium. Everything else should be too. Yeah, everything else is titanium over here. Yep. All right, so I think everything except probably the lock bar insert on this thing is probably titanium, and the blade and the bearings. So, all right, well here, what we really wanted to look at was, what I really wanted to see was this piece. But first, we will look at this piece. So there's that pin. Told the backspacer. Look at that. That has actually 2 layers, 2 depths of milling. You see that? That's interesting. So one is for the, for this guy, and then the other's for, I guess, the clip to kind of sit on. Or no, it's just the way this is shaped. Here. So there's that piece. I wanted to see what it looked like. What does it look like? Okay, this is the piece under the clip. It's milled. See, it looks like a pocket clip. If you didn't tell me, I'd be like, is that a pocket clip for a tiny knife? It's like a Spyderco bug, like milled clip or something. But anyway, look, this is pretty incredible. Look, so there's where the lip happens. So that's what goes down. I'm going to lose that pin. That's what goes down in here. Isn't that cool? And then look, the fit. Wow. It's pretty good, man. It's pretty good. Pretty good fitment, man. I gotta say. It's pretty good. It looks cool just like that, even. Like an inlay. Gosh, that is so smooth. I can feel a little bit of a popping up there, but once you screw it in, you probably won't feel that. That's incredible. All right, well, that's getting anodized too then. So anyway, so there you go. So you've got the kind of weird anomaly thing from the clip that comes through here. Be careful, I'm going to do that here. It comes through here. Then you have your pin for the backspacer. You have your stop pin up here. It's overall, it is fairly simple construction. It's just the accuracy in the machining is there. We don't look at the other scale here. Look at the inside. Look at those pockets. Those deep ass pockets. You have deep pockets to afford the thing. But yeah, man, that is good. So it's like when you look at this, you can see like objectively why they cost what they do and why they're held in such high esteem. And then I suppose I just put out a short talking about this, but I suppose I'll say it in this video too. But Koenig just recently really took care of me too. One of the reasons I jumped on the Xenon was because I mentioned before, this Arius I bought on the secondary market for, thankfully, it was a unbelievable deal. But the guy apparently didn't notice that it wouldn't lock. It would not lock up. You would open it and the lock bar, it would just kind of flop. It would just flop. So they looked at it and they determined that, there was a body screw, part of the bore had chipped. I guarantee you, I almost can guarantee you that's from somebody over tightening it, reassembling it. And I know it, for sure it was disassembled because it had mismatching bearings. It had one Koenig bearing and one skiff bearing in there. So it was really weird. So they replaced the front scale, and they said they had a spare titanium scale laying around. So the pocket clips still, you can see signs of carry and stuff, but the scale itself is pretty clean because they replaced both scales, which is incredible. So this thing is absolutely as good as new. Back and better than ever, man. So anyway, Koenig, I mean, that they charged me to replace the bearings and to ship it back. That's it. That's all they charged me. So Koenig killing it out here, taking care of their people. It's amazing. All right, well, I suppose I was going to put it back together here, but I suppose I'm going to wait because I'm going to anodize. Before I post the video, maybe I will take another quick video of what it looks like after ano, because you might want to see that. I don't even know how long this is, guys. I have not checked the clock or anything. I have no idea how long this video is going to be. I kind of went into it with that thought of I don't really care. Just it's going to be what it's going to be. There's a total of, if you look up all the other, the other two YouTube videos on the Xenon, you'll find 45, 50 minutes total or something like that. And I wanted to really make kind of like the definitive video on the Xenon, at least so far. Somebody will make a way better produced one in the future. I'm sure that people have like all their shiny channels and stuff. So somebody will make something really nice on it. But I wanted to at least get some info out there because I do think it's worth checking out. And if you're like me, you want this kind of information. You want to know, what does it look like under the clip? What does that look like? What size bearings does it take? In this case, we know it's 3/16. And, information like it rides directly on the bare titanium here. That may or may not be an issue for you. It's not for me. I think even if you use it hard, the tolerances and everything are so amazing on this that I think it's going to be a non-issue. So everybody's saying it's more of a gentleman's folder, which I guess it looks like that. But I mean, I guarantee you function-wise, you'd probably throw anything at this. Yeah, I don't know what they heat treat their M390 to. Hopefully fairly high, 61, 62 or something. I don't know. At least 60, I would hope. But I'm not a metallurgist. I don't know steels like a lot of other people do on YouTube. I just know kind of standard stuff. Anyway, so yeah, I was going to do all the KPL and everything and reassemble, but yeah, I want to anodize the hardware. And so, okay, I guess last thing we'll do before we go is we'll look at what hardware would need to be. Sorry, my finger's cracking and bugging me. At what would need to be anodized. Yeah, I think the screws. Oh no, they're not. No, they're not. Nope. See, this one's bigger. So that's the clip screw. That's the pivot. That's the pivot. These are the liner screws. So those can hang out over here. I'm going to have to edit so much of this. Since this is all titanium, I don't want to anodize the area that comes in contact with the blade. So I will wrap this part in tape, like in masking tape. You can also just paint and nail polish on it, but that's a little bit more to do. It's a little messier. But yeah, if you just wrap a piece of tape around it, it's fine. It can't anodize. And then only the head will anodize. I've had really good success with that in the past. So this is it. So you would anodize this and just mask the barrel part. That's the clip screw, the pivot screw, the little guy that goes under the clip, the back spacer, and of course optional if you want to do these two screws for the liner and the lock bar insert screw, which I've done in the past, but we're going to skip it today. So if you want to anodize hardware, sorry, cracking my fingers. If you want to anodize this hardware, you're going to need, if you want to do it like they do in factory, I believe I have that right? Because there's the clip screw, the barrel both sides, and then that piece underneath. Yeah. So just these 5 pieces is what you want to anodize, and then you have the, optional 3 more if you wanted. So, all right, well, I guess I'll stop this section here, and we'll do the anodizing. I'm probably going to go 27 volt blue. I'm just trying to think of anything else that I might have missed that I wanted to know when I was looking for videos. Let me click the blade a little bit. I don't think there was anything else. We talked about weight and dimensions. We talked about the action, which is not like the Arius, but it's still very controlled and drops shut. I'll mention one other thing before we go. I was watching Bladezilla, and he mentioned that he thought it looked a lot like the Shirogorov Astrum, and he showed them side by side. So if you're watching this, you probably have seen that, or you will see it. But the Astrum, that's really incredible. What a great comparison. It really does have a lot of the same form factor as the Astrum. Even the placement of the actual lock bar disengagement site. What is the word term I'm looking for? The place where you actually push the lock bar. Anyway, yeah, so it's really, really cool. It's so lightweight. I'm probably just kind of rambling at this point. Is there anything else that I would have wanted to know? I guess the only other thing would be the box. If you care about boxes, I think during the unboxing part you should have seen it, but the word Koenig on the box is in black instead of silver on this one, in case that's important to you. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I could think of. So I hope you all have a great rest of your day and week and whatever time it is for you. If you're curious about the Xenon and you can get one for especially a decent price, go ahead. Yeah, it's absolutely cool, man. If you're into Koenig, you got to at least handle one. But I would say it's definitely worth owning. I foresee it staying around at least for the foreseeable future. I can think of probably 2 or 3 other higher end things that I would get rid of before I would get rid of this. None of those are the Arius either. The Arius is bigger than I usually like to carry, actually, but there's just something so freaking cool about that knife, especially the carbon fiber. It's so light. It's got to stick around. All right. Well, I suppose we will actually stop it there. Y'all have a great day and week and so on and so forth. And I will catch you next time. All right, everybody. Here is the Xenon after anodizing. That's that 27 volt blue. I think you can actually see the smaller milling in there better now. See, it's not just the X. You also get that. There you can see it. It's a really, really detailed, very, very small milling in there on that. Yeah, anodized great. Like I said, I taped off the barrel, so it's not affected by it. I used KPL on it this time. Probably gonna have to add a little bit of, oops, there we go again. I have to add a little bit of blue Loctite, probably, because in order to keep the blade, that smooth, I had to get the pivot tightened, not as tight as I would usually like. But I've used a little bit of Loctite on there, like I said, inside the female part, not the male end. That's a good way to do it. Then yes, yeah, I think it definitely feels the same as it did. I think I got, the pivot isn't exactly where it was, but it's still got that controlled, smooth drop shot, and of course it still needs a break in, I think. There we go, I missed it again. I'll get used to it. It's been a couple hours since I did the ano, so I haven't really handled it in a couple hours, and it's still pretty new. This is still day 1. So as I get the hang of it and get more used to it, gosh, that's already, okay, I'm not paying attention. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, but that's what I was talking about with the thumb studs. That's my only gripe about it is it's not bad. It's just going to take some getting used to, and it would have been great if I had a flipper, but it's not necessary. Yeah, let's get a full shot. And then since I was so far over to the left before, oh, by the way, there's the under the pocket clip. I think this looks pretty close to what Koenig does from factory. I think they probably do use 27 volt or something very close to it. And then of course the ergos, and I wanted to get another shot of the ergos in here. I talked about it some, but man, you'd think that with it being kind of boxy down there that it would bother you, but it sure don't bother me none. It don't bother me none. You can even see it hanging out the back there a little bit. And like I said, 3.5 inches across my fingers. Even back here, even if I'm not like all the way like up on that, even if I'm kind of back here comfortably, you know, still completely get my whole hand. I mean, it doesn't feel like a great grip, like, you know, like a full grip like it would on most knives, but up here it sure does. And then of course, yeah, the blade is freaking beautiful. Anyway, I already signed off in the video earlier, so I know this was extremely long, over an hour long, so if you watched the whole thing, I appreciate it. I just really want to get this out there because it's just bugging me that there wasn't enough information, there wasn't detailed info that I wanted. So there you go, guys. You take care. Bye now.